With so much software available in the short-term rental industry these days, it's increasingly difficult to keep up to date with what's on the market and to determine whether it's a maybe or a must-have for you and your business. So meet one provider each week in a short interview, learning what they do and what they offer. So if you have around 15 minutes to spare, it could prove to be a very good investment to stick around. So let's see who and what is out there, one by one, with me, Deborah Labi, also known as the Guest Inn-spector. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Techsplained with the Guest Inn-spector. With the rise in fraud in the industry and the rise in the number of nightmare guests, it's become more important to verify your guests, and we also want to streamline the guest experience. So today I'm talking with Stephen, who's going to explain to us Chekin. Hello, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Deborah. How is everything?
Very, very good. Thank you. Very good. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Elevator pitch, summarize it in one or two sentences. What is Chekin?
Perfect. Well, Chekin is an automated guest registration and online check-in solution. What we do is we work with property managers and hotels and completely transform the offline traditional check-in method online to be able to allow guests to check in prior to arrival and have all the tedious administrative tasks completely automated, thus saving a lot of time and money for the property managers or the hotels in question.
Mm-hmm. So as a property manager, you mentioned automated. As a property manager, do you connect to PMS? So once I get a booking in, is it sort of like all automated in terms of check-in or how I establish it, how I set it up?
Yeah, that's completely correct. We integrate currently with, I think, just over 35, 40 property management systems. And we also integrate with a lot of digital locking device providers. With the PMSs, what that allows us to do is essentially detect all of the property information, all of the reservation details, and pull that into our platform. So essentially, once you've configured your online check-in procedure, we automatically start the communication with the guest. We pull the reservation details depending on the guest's information, the reservation dates, and the property they're staying in. And then depending, of course, on timing triggers, it's entirely up to you when you decide you want to actually send the online check-in to the guest. We automatically contact them for you, whether that be a first outreach, automated reminders, custom communications. We make that procedure really easy for the property managers and the hotels, just so they don't have to keep checking on everything, ensuring they've got all the correspondences that are arriving. We completely automate that part of the procedure.
Mm-hmm. So let's just go through a few of the things that you automate. So the first thing that comes up is guest verification. So you do the face check, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, exactly. So what we essentially do is we try to collect all the guest information and verify the guest as much as possible. It's not only for the property manager or the hotel security, it's for the guest security purposes as well during their stay. Apart from just collecting all their information with a custom form, providing all their data. And what we do is an ID verification with biometric matching technology. What the guest essentially has to do is take an image of their ID card or their passport and then take a selfie in real time. What we'll do then is we will match the image from the ID or the passport with the selfie taken in real time, just to ensure that the person checking in is who they say they are. The reason for this is, of course, for security. And if we're offering, for example, which is a lot more common these days, remote access into our accommodation, essentially the guest never has to meet anyone from the actual business providing the accommodation. We would like to make sure that at least the person that is receiving access is who they say they are. So it's something that's working really well, internationally, just for that extra level of security.
And I know that in Spain and in Portugal, you property managers need to send that the ID, the guest information to the authorities. Yeah. So you look after that too, right?
Exactly. That's one of our main selling points. That's where we started 4.5 years ago in Spain. We were a simple application that simply connected to the Spanish authorities. There's 4 different authority types in Spain. We connect to all of them. And we essentially started automating that because what we were finding is that even a hotel, after doing 40, 50 check-ins per day, what people didn't see is in the back office, there was someone typing up all the guest details one by one into the authorities' website. So we decided to automate that. And where we are now is we currently have 16 different legal automations all over Europe. Not only Spain, we connect with the authorities in Italy, Austria, Switzerland, Portugal. statistics reporting in multiple countries. We even have police authority reporting in Colombia and Thailand. So it's very vast. But it's something that is incredibly tedious that we help automate because it's what takes up the most time. So we do that, and at least using Chekin, the hosts and the property manager know that at least the legal compliance part has been taken care of by us.
Yeah, that's great. And so online check-in. So prior to arrival, they check in online via your app. So with the guests, they download an app once they receive information from their first lot of information from you.
So actually, we don't have any type of application for the guest. What we do is we have one linear process where the guest does the online check-in, and that's all done via a web app. The reason for web app is, as we probably all know, the more we travel, the more we get out and about. Having to download an application constantly, depending on the internet connection to download that application, it can be quite tedious and it can be a bit of a blocker. So everything we've done, including ID verification and sort of that the high-tech solutions, that's still all done via web app. That can be opened via browser, whether that be mobile device, tablet, or PC. And then, of course, via web app, that allows us to sort of detect the language the guest is using and adapt it to them. So all they have to do is click a link within the correspondence that we contact them. The web app opens, and then they'll be able to complete the entire online check-in journey prior to arrival through one single link. They don't have to open anything else. The idea is to make it as simple for the guest as possible.
Yeah, I do like the idea of the web apps, because I traveled recently and I've got 3 apps on my phone that every time I swipe through, it's like, oh God, I should get rid of them. I've got
another one.
Yeah,
exactly. It really is. Unless you're completely committed to one brand for the rest of your life, you don't want to have to be downloading applications constantly. So that's why we try and make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. And so Chekin also looks after digital contracts. So if someone has a contract, the guest can sign it online.
Yeah, exactly. When the guest does the online check-in procedure, they go through the data collection or providing their information. They go through the ID verification, and where we end up is essentially a digital signature phase. They confirm their details and provide a digital signature. If it's via a mobile device, it's with their finger, or if it's with a laptop or a PC, maybe with a mouse or a touchpad. And what we do with that digital signature is actually 2 things. We use that for the entry forms. So what we do is, for every guest that checks in, we create an entry form which allows you to create a guest book. So essentially, you'll have one centralized area with all the guest information that stayed at your property. And then we also use that for digital contracts. So if the guest is checking in online and also receiving remote access and they're not there in person, what we can do is we can add a rental agreement, whether that terms and conditions contract, house rules. It can go from something really advanced to something as basic as don't play loud music, there's no smoking on the premises. And what we'll do with that is we will add their digital signature to the contract. We'll add all their information depending on the details that they've provided us during the online check-in. And that's creating a digital contract rather than have that sort of in-person requirement.
Yeah, that's great. It's one headache out of the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. And damage deposits and protection, you look after that too?
Yep. So we do a bit of everything. Damage deposits and protection is actually something that is highly regarded at the moment and used quite often. What we allow us to do when it comes to damage protection and deposits is essentially offer the ability for the guest during the same online check-in experience to either pay for a deposit where we hold the money, or simply just authorize the host to be able to charge them should there be any damages. And I think the main advantage here is what I mentioned multiple times previously, is just it's still in that one linear process. During the web app, the payment gateway will appear. They simply introduce their details to be able to retain a damage deposit without having to open an external browser to then go through another payment process. So it is really simple. And what we'll do is we'll charge the damage deposit. We'll put an authorization to hold on the funds and allow the host to charge the deposit up to 7 days after the day of checkout, whether that be partial or full. It just makes it a lot easier for the hotel and the host to be able to provide a little bit of security when it comes to potential damage, because unfortunately we know how things are. What happens these days is nothing's always guaranteed that it's going to run smoothly. So at least if we can provide that bit of a safety net, then it makes life a hell of a lot easier.
I've just been through a whole process as the guest inspector, and I sort of got a bit bombarded with emails asking for various things. So in terms of your process, as a property manager, I can design it so that in one email, for example, to the guest, we can actually look after a number of these things in one go. Is that correct? So then,
Yep.
really, you know, maybe even in 2 emails, all of this can be looked after, and the guest doesn't have to keep doing this, you know, get bombarded with emails all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. Everything that I've mentioned, so from data collection to ID verification, setting up remote access, security deposits, that can be customized per property. And what essentially that means is everything that the guest's done, once done, will not be bombarded. We'll inform them that the online check-in is available. Everything will be done at once. And once that's completed, essentially, there's no further correspondence. We're not going to continue asking them for information. And it's completely customizable depending on what the property manager or the hotel wishes to achieve. Essentially, they can have something from a very basic solution to a lot more advanced solution. They can contact the guest as little as possible, as most as possible, but everything is completely sort of hyper-personalized depending on the requirements for them. And then once the guest receives it, they'll be able to do everything without that bombardment of emails and constant updates. Please do this, check this. Again, just everything as easy as possible for the guest and as complete as possible from the host point of view.
And you touched on remote access. So you also look after remote locks.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we're trying to automate everything as much as possible. And automation also includes access and entry to the properties. And that's why we focus so much on data collection and security, because it is really important for the host to be able to understand who the person staying is, just for liability and security reasons. We currently integrate with about 25 locking providers. Mm-hmm. And what that allows us to do is, thanks to the PMS integration, we can detect all of the reservation details. We can create these virtual keys, whether that be with a keypad, whether that be an application required by the key locking provider or a virtual key. We can create those depending on the check-in dates. So we create the key specific, activated at a specific check-in time, deactivated at a check-out time. And then we could also send that virtual key to the guest depending on your requirements. So, for example, let's say you only want to provide access to your accommodation once the guest has done the ID verification step, then you can do so. So really just enhancing the security, not just sending it to the guest no matter what time. We can really depend on when we do it. For example, if you want to send the key once the guest has provided the security deposit, so you know you've got that peace of mind that the security deposit has already been paid for, you can also do that. So yeah, completely automated, but also personalized depending on the requirements.
Yeah, really great. And the icing on the cake is that property managers can do upselling through your app as well, web app.
Yeah, exactly. We recently uploaded upselling onto our platform during our web app. We found this, really important because a lot of people use Chekin as a complete online digital solution for their properties or their hotels, without using many other third-party softwares other than that, because it is such a complete solution. And it's an all-in-one solution, essentially, depending what you're looking for. So what we wanted to do is offer the ability for these hosts to really sort of generate revenue per booking. And what better tool to use than an upselling tool? And again, it is in the same web app. It's all in that one linear procedure. And it essentially comes at the end. So the guest provides all the details. They go through the online check-in procedure. And then at the end, they'll be able to sort of complete their journey. And what we found as well is, once the guest is checking in, they're sort of getting that feel for the holiday. They realize it's starting to become closer, and they can start sort of buying offers and experiences and reserving offers and experience to know that they have something further to look forward to. So at the end of the procedure, you will have your own offers and upselling page, whether that's an early check-in, a late check-out, which builds the most revenue when offering experiences, which can really help. But you could also add things such as flamenco nights that we use a lot in Spain, or welcome packs if you're a host. Anything really that you think will sort of not only generate your revenue, but also make the guest's experience a lot more fulfilled and have them sort of realize that they would probably become more of a repeat customer because of the amount of things you're offering. That's what we can do during the same online procedure. So again, it's completely optional, but it's highly recommended.
Yeah, great. Now, what would you say is your unique selling point, or one unique selling point for Chekin?
Yep. The unique selling point specifically is probably things I've mentioned during the call. It's just the possibility to have an all-in-one online solution that really adapts to the requirements. I think it's quite unique that Chekin can offer a linear process where the guest really doesn't have to depend on too many different devices and applications. We've all had the email where you say, can you leave a deposit here, that takes you to one stage. If you can do this, it could take you to another stage. And I think it's quite unique that we're able to digitize and automate this through one linear process that essentially just means everything's taken care of. You don't have to worry about the administrative tasks or the deposit, that you're offering the complete solution to your guests and making it as easy as possible.
Yeah. Well, my next question was going to be, why use your product? But I think you've just answered it.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, everything can be, you know, administration tasks can be really tedious. You know, our main goal is to save property managers, hosts, and hotels time and money. Essentially, by automating what is the administrative side of everything, the data collection, you could be saving anywhere from 10 to 25 hours per week. It's just tedious things that we try and make as best as possible, and also give peace of mind that sort of the legal compliance is taken care of, the ID verification, security is taken care of, and we just make it as easy as possible for the host to sort of decide what they want, apply it, and then they know that's taken care of.
Yeah. Now, with all the correspondence going to the guests,
Yep.
are the emails or the correspondence, are they branded, the property manager brand, or is it Chekin brand?
Yep, so you've got complete flexibility. So we send everything generically from sort of our domain. However, you can add your own email address, so everything gets sent from reservations or check-in at propertyname.com. All of the correspondence we send has your logo, your property information, the check-in reservation details. So it is highly branded, and the online check-in process as well. It has the logo, it has the property information, and then you could also create custom communication. So you don't have to use our generic templates that also have the logo and the property details. You can also create with our application using our variables, your very own custom online check-in emails. Again, as highly customizable as possible. It'd be great if every property manager and hotel had the exact same process and all of the same implementations, but just to be able to offer that sort of personalization and the flexibility to do what they want with the application, yeah, they can make it as generic or as branded as much as they wish.
Yeah. Okay. Now, who is your target audience? What's the size company, ideal number of properties?
Yep. So we actually work the whole spectrum. We work with people that are only using one of their property. Maybe they have a holiday home that they would like to rent out. They just don't have the flexibility to do that with their job, or maybe it's further away. We work with people with 1 to 2 properties. Our sort of ideal or our main customer at the moment are large property managers working in the 50 to 100 plus properties, depending on the region, because we really help them automate everything, as you can imagine, the amount of reservations they have in a week. But we also work with hotels. So we sort of work over the entire hospitality property market, and really just trying to adapt ourselves to whatever's available.
Your audience is also a global audience, correct? Even though that there are some countries that need the authorization with the authorities, you can work anywhere. Okay, great.
Yeah, it works everywhere. We're currently active in over 26 countries worldwide, whether that be a country with legal requirements, so to speak, with the authorities connection, or other countries that just simply need that helping hand to automate and offer remote access in a safe and secure manner. We work globally. At the moment, there's no restriction depending on where we work, and we're constantly sort of updating and matching different requirements depending on the country. So anyone that comes in with a request depending on their country, we always take that seriously, and we always try and investigate as much as possible to see if we can automate that there as well.
Yeah. And how much does check-in cost?
Yep. So we've actually got 2 types of subscriptions. We actually work on a subscription per unit base. So whether that's an apartment or that's a hotel room, it's not transactional, just because we feel like within one cost, you can do as many things as you're required to do. So we have a monthly subscription. The cost is per property based on the features you would like to use. So if you start with the basic, it has a specific price, and all the premium functions such as remote access and ID verification will change that price per property. And then we also, of course, have an annual plan that has a 20% discount. Really depends where you are in the world, and depends how many properties you have. The more properties, of course, the higher the discount. But yeah, we are very flexible when it comes to subscription costs.
Great. Now, is there a contract? Can someone just start with you, and do they have to lock in with a contract?
No, not at all. Since we're a software as a solution based company, they can simply sign up for the monthly solution during, you know, the onboarding period. They'll be able to cancel that anytime. Of course, if they decide to go for the annual plan, that's a 12-month contract, but they can start at any time. We offer a free 14-day full trial where they have access to the entire platform. They can use it as much as they wish to do so, whether that be for testing, whether that be for real life examples. And they will also have access to not only me, but the entire team at Chekin to help them really find that required and that perfect online check-in solutions that they're looking for during those 14 days free trial, so we can actually make sure that everything is set up correctly and they're happy with the solution that we're providing them.
It all sounds great. We've come to the end of my questions, but was there anything else that you wanted to add? Anything I may have forgotten to ask?
Apart from that, there's a couple of other things we do, such as tourist taxes, and we are constantly growing. I think what Chekin holds in the future is what we're looking for is essentially to make everything easier than it is now. Soon we will be launching our new guest app, which is still a web app. And essentially what we're going to be able to do is, if you do have repeat customers, they will be able to do a one-click check-in. Everything is going to be centralized in one area, and it's going to just make everything a lot more easier. We'll be able to provide more information when that comes, but what we are now is just the beginning. We do have some big plans for the future.
Oh, I like that one-click check-in. I like that for return.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't steal the idea from Amazon with a one-click buy or anything like that. It's just it's just going to be a lot easier, especially when it's a repeat customer, because of course the ideal situation is you provide such a good service that you will have guests that keep repeating, and you don't want them to go through the same online check-in procedure again and again. So we'll be making that sort of a possibility very soon.
That sounds great. That's great. Lovely. Well, thank you for your time, Stephen. I'm just going to add that if anyone has any questions for Stephen, you can just drop them into the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you'd like to learn anything more about Chekin, I'll put the link down underneath in the description. And if you would like to learn anything more about the Guest Inn-spector, the link will be down there as well. So thank you very much for your time, Stephen. It's been really lovely chatting.
It was an absolute pleasure, Deborah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Bye.
Bye-bye.